Okay, so to take this apart, we're literally just gonna push the plug here, and we're gonna lift this off. And then we're just gonna lift up the circle. So as you take it apart, you wanna clean everything very well. There tends to be, I've already cleaned it up, but there tends to be a lot of litter that gets stuck here on these little brushes. So with a wet rag, excuse me, just a paper towel, you can go through and clean it. Yes, it is cat shit. It's kind of gross. You can wear gloves or you can just wash your hands afterwards. Now, a couple of the issues that I've seen through the time that we've had this, and this has worked well over the years, but if the bonnet or the cover is not connected well, which you can see here, it starts to get a little bit dirty and then it gets a bit rusted. And I've already brushed these off with a wire brush a few times, but if that cover is not on correctly, it will stop kind of like halfway through its cycle and won't continue. And so this is the part that connects to that. So, you know, what I'm gonna do now again is just clean this up, and then I'm gonna take a wire brush and clean those terminals to make sure that they're nice and clean, because, and what you can do is actually see that there's a light, a blue light that attaches, or sorry, that turns on when these are correctly attached, and it should be very bright. If it's kind of dim at all, it means that the connection is not good. Okay, so the main piece of the machine is like this tube or ball, and this ball sits in there and obviously gets moved by the gears here, and this is where we get issues where it gets stuck when there gets sand inside of these gears. Inside, so what I do is I just take this off every, you know, I don't know, once a year, every 8 months, clean it off. So right now I've just rinsed it out with a hose. You know, you just hit the empty button, it empties all this stuff out. Clean it off with a hose first, and then just clean it up the rest of the way. I mean, it doesn't need to be completely perfect, obviously, but you know, you do want to try to make sure that you've gotten all of the litter that's stuck in crevices and stuff like that out of there. And then once it's done, this, you can just turn it on its face to dry. You know, and I'll clean this up. And then I'll turn it on the other side to make sure, as I said, to make sure that there's nothing left inside of these little areas. We want to make sure that it's very dry before we put it back together, because the litter will get wet and then it will clump, obviously. And then as I put it back together, I'll show you some of the issues that can happen with this piece here, which is the scraper. Smart design, but like anything, it just needs a little bit of maintenance. So because of the sound of the Dremel and it's very loud, I thought I would just use this time to explain to you what I'm doing here. So I'm just sanding down the terminals until you can see that it's shiny on both sides. And like I said, that will then allow it to get a good connection. I was having a lot of problems with it stopping intermittently, and I couldn't figure out why this was happening for a while until I took it apart, and then I realized by actually looking online about a bunch of stuff that this was really the problem that was happening. So, but like I said, you could just use some sandpaper. You don't have to use a machine, or you could use a wire brush. It's a little bit of a small cavity to get into, but I'm sure you'll be able to do it. Okay, so we need to put the ball back onto the base. And so it's relatively simple. We're just going to take the ball, and we're going to set it back onto the base, into its track. And we're going to go around the back side and grab this guy here, lift him, put him into the right spot, make sure that those gears are in the right place. So that this is like that. Okay. This here is lined up in the front, as you can see. Pull this around like this. get it to stay. It's kind of, this thing's getting kind of old, so it doesn't stay the best. All right, and then the top is gonna go on. You can see it has little pins here. Let's see if the thing will focus. To go into the back, one side. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand. But I think I can manage it. There we go. All right, and then these guys clip to the inside here, to the inside here, and clip down. It's really as simple as that. And then of course we're gonna put the tray back in and then plug it back in. But that piece in the back, the black piece, is what controls this scraper. So it's important that that's in place. Okay, so you can see that I've just cleaned up these contact points so that there's no rust on them or anything. And the same thing on here, so that when they connect, they make a good clean connection. And I've cleaned everything else up, so it's time to put it back together. And I'll show you how we put it back together. It's pretty easy. And this is the blue light that I was talking about. When you get the good connection, you can see it's very bright night light for the cats, but it's a good indicator if you have a good connection between the metal pieces. You don't need to watch this whole part, but it's just showing how it functions once it's all done and ready to go. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. I'm new to this. This is my first video, so I'd appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. Okay, and I just use a regular plastic bag. I think it's a 50-liter bag. I think you probably use like a 40-liter. But I find it best to put the bag around the back corner because it tends to drop the litter over here on the left. And if this isn't like this, it gets between the bag and the plastic, and then it's just more cleaning that you have to do. You just gotta make sure that the bag is pushed down out of the way so that the sensor, that it doesn't think that it's full. Put that in like that.